Ed in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. Hey, Ed.
Hey, Tom, I agree with you on the patent issue. I think that protecting intellectual property rights, the period that we do, is probably detrimental to the economy and progress. But I disagree on many points, and one being that I see that the Tea Party or the conservative Republicans in Congress are the only adults in Washington, because they recognize that the survival level of this threat to this country is $120 trillion of unfunded liabilities that we currently have, not to mention the $16 trillion.
That's a nonsensical. These are nonsensical numbers, Ed. You're taking 75-year projections based on the assumption that we remain in a recession all that time, that there is no lifting of the Social Security cap, that Medicare continues to not be able to negotiate drug prices. I mean, there are so many of these things are so easily fixed that these numbers that billionaires like Pete Peterson put out, they get then picked up by the Cato Institute and the Heritage Foundation and echoed everywhere. I mean, I'm hearing this stuff on NPR yesterday morning. These numbers are complete nonsense. Social Security is solvent. It's got a $2.7 trillion surplus. Medicare is in trouble only because of Medicare Part D, because, you know, Billy Towson, who went off to take a $2 million a year job as the head of the pharmaceutical lobby, Big Pharma, pushed through a bill that said that it's illegal for the federal government to negotiate when buying prescription drugs for people, although it can negotiate when it buys them for the military. Now, tell me that makes sense?
No, Tom, because this government is $16 trillion.
No, the Tea Party wants to keep it this way. The Tea Party congressman, to a person, they want to keep Medicare Part D the way it is. They don't want the government to be able to negotiate drug prices. When that legislation got sent to the Senate, and not a single Tea Partier in the House of Representatives voted for it. When Nancy Pelosi got it passed, it got sent to the Senate, and Tea Partiers in the Senate filibustered it. They want it this way because they want these programs to implode, because the banksters want to step in and say, oh, there's no government program now for, Social Security, for disability, for pensions, for anything. So now you got to come to us, Goldman Sachs.
Absolutely not, Tom. We have $16 trillion in debt, and your argument would carry more weight if that wasn't the case, the current debt.
That also, debt was run up by the policies of Ronald Reagan and two George Bushes.
We also know that since 2010, Social Security has been losing money, and that the $2.7 trillion...
It was designed to, Ed. Read the history of it. The whole point of the Social Security Trust Fund, which didn't exist before 1982, and this is something Reagan did. I mean, you should know about this if you consider yourself a Tea Partier, was that this rabbit was going to go through the python. The boomers were going to retire. And so one generation would double pay Social Security to not only pay for their parents' retirement, but also pay for their own retirement. That double payment would be put into a trust fund, and then when they started retiring, the trust fund would be paid down to zero, back where it always was. That's the boomer generation. That trust fund has $2.7 trillion in it.